Here's the 30-second lesson on what legends know. Never practice nunchucks in a crowded room. Never eat chole before a road trip. Always take your shirt off before you iron it. Don't take a call near a swimming pool. And don't forget, saving is not investing. Legends don't just save, they invest in mutual funds. Mutual fund investments are subject to market risks. Read all scheme-related documents carefully.
This is the day of the Pran Pratishtha or consecration of the Ram temple in Ayodhya, and also the installation of the deity of the infant manifestation of Lord Ram. That has happened. You've been watching it through the day. The Prime Minister has spoken, the RSS Chief has spoken, the UP Chief Minister has spoken. All three have spoken. Now what we are doing here is, with DK Singh, our political editor, and I, that we have been watching it, DK much more closely than I. So we are trying to first of all pick up some highlights, mostly political highlights, because the vantage point from where we look at things is political. In any case, we are not any spiritual gurus, or we are not any spiritual scholars or religious scholars. We look at politics, and also to try and lift the layers and read between the lines, particularly in the Prime Minister's speech. I will do some of that and we'll discuss it, and then DK will also tell us a bit about what we take away from who attended today and who did not. Pure politics. So here we begin. First of all, the Prime Minister. He delivered a speech for about 30 plus minutes, I think 33, 34 minutes. We'll share a link with you. You can hear it again. It is in chaste Hindi. My Hindi is all right, so I can figure it out. It's in chaste Hindi, but translations are available on the Prime Minister's website as well. And also you will see reports in ThePrint as well. You can check it out. But what are the things that he's saying? So for me, and DK, correct me if you think I am wrong, for me, the biggest takeaway is he has given a new definition of Indian nationalism. He has put the curtain down fully, decisively and fully on the Nehruvian formulation of nation building of the Indian state or the Indian constitutional framework. Using the same constitution, because he has said that our constitution on its first page has the picture of Lord Ram, right? So using the same constitution, he's used the expression Dev se Desh, which means from divinity arises our nation, Ram se Rashtra, and from Ram. So from divinity arises our land, and from Ram arises our national entity. That DK, you think that's a fundamental shift that he's making in our understanding of how our nation is constituted?
Yeah, exactly. Because see, it's not just him. We heard the way opposition was trying to project his speech, because we saw Pinarayi Vijayan driving on the same point that Nehru, his idea was keeping religion separate from the state. This government is doing exactly that at the center by making it a state event. So
this government is doing the opposite.
So this is the shift the opposition is also talking about now.
Yeah. What else do you pick up from the speech that will take us towards the same understanding?
For me, my takeaway is, the way he has tried to kind of merge spiritual with temporal, I would say. When he says that, this temple will be a witness to developed India. So the opposition has been making a lot of hue and cry over unemployment, other issues. Now, all aspirations, everything merges with Ram, with this temple. This will be the beginning of the realization of all the aspirations you may have, material or spiritual.
So, which is very interesting, because in the scheme of things so far, at least as far as our understanding of the constitution was so far, that the two things, the spiritual and the temporal, were kept apart. In fact, if you let me add this, it was in the history of Sikhism, the Sikh tradition, that the ninth Guru said that it is not enough for us just to follow spirituality or just to have spiritual power. We must combine spiritual and temporal power, miri and piri, as they said. So two swords he bore symbolically. एक पीरी की एक मीरी की, one of spirituality, one of political power. So we are saying that this bringing together of spirituality, spiritual power or spiritual thinking, as well as political power is a new thing.
That's the way he has spelled it out. It's very interesting.
Now, the other takeaway from his speech, he says that this is the beginning. We've laid the foundation stone for the next 1,000 years. And he says we've done it with a pure heart. And with pure heart, we can see that the cycle of life, a cycle of time is changing. Our generation is fortunate that it is the architect of this change. And then he also uses another expression. He says, Naya Kal Chakra shuru ho raha hai. So this is a new Kal Chakra. And then he says that when he went to Dhanushkodi, that is the point from which Lord Ram crossed the seas and went into Sri Lanka. That's where the bridge began, the bridge across the Pok Strait began. He says that when he was there, he felt as if when Lord Ram had come here, a new Kal Chakra had begun. Similarly, a new Kal Chakra has begun now. So what's the meaning of this next 1,000 years and why this reference to 1,000 years?
So that's so typical of the Prime Minister basically putting things in historical perspective. He was talking about what happened 1,000 years back. Now how a new era is beginning with him. He is starting a new era. That's what he's suggesting here. The Prime Minister and the Sangh Parivar people, they have always been maintaining that India has had 1,000 years of slavery. Starting from Delhi Sultanate, later on Mughals, British. That's how they portray history. And today he was talking about this slavery that India went through for 1,000 years. Now, what he is saying is now that all that is over, now you are talking about a new Hindu Rashtra.
But he did not say Hindu.
He did not say that. But again, he is putting that history behind that with him, or he is starting a new future for India. And that will be defined by what you may call Ram Rashtra.
See, interesting thing is when you say 1,000 years, it's almost exactly 1,000 years back that the first Muslim conquerors came to India. And conquerors, first of all, it was Muhammad bin Qasim who came to a limited part of India in Sindh. That was a little bit more than 1,000 years ago. But then Ghazni and then others followed. So that 1,000-year framework is there. So this idea, particularly in the RSS thinking, if you read RSS literature, 1,000 years of slavery. So they don't see the British rule as years of slavery. And this is something that the Prime Minister has also said in his earlier major speeches, I think on Independence Day also. 1,000 years of slavery. That is not a line, that is not a description that the quote-unquote secular forces use in India. That's not a description you've ever heard or seen a Congress leader use, 1,000 years of slavery. Because in that scheme of things, the rule by the Muslim rulers, whether it was the various sultanates, the various dynasties, and then the Mughals, all of that was not seen as foreign rule. All of that was seen as people who came in, became Indian and became the natives. And that is something that the RSS has always philosophically and ideologically contested. So when he now keeps talking about 1,000 years, that we did not have this for 1,000 years. For example, I picked up another interesting line from his speech. As I told you, speech is in chaste Hindi. And my Hindi is all right. English might be a problem once in a while. So he says, "Sankdo varshon ka vyog," which means this society, our society, has suffered under hundreds of years of desolation, loss of power, etc., etc. And that is now ending. So once again, that dovetails into what DK is saying, that this is an idea that we suffered for, we did not have full self-rule, full freedom for 1,000 years. Now, the next 1,000 years, let's build a new Rashtra in the image of Ram. So Dev say Desh, from divinity, our land, Ram say Rashtra, and from Ram, our nation. That is what he's saying right now. So when the Prime Minister says that for 1,000 years, India hasn't had freedom, true freedom, and now that era is beginning, does he count the last 75 years also among those 1,000?
Not in as many words, but yes, because he has made references to the freedom movement. You know how many people contributed to the freedom movement, and similarly how many people have contributed to the building of the Ram temple today. So 70 years, as we know, all these while, since 2013-14, we have been hearing him. 70 years doesn't count. Like everything starts from 2014. So, of course, these 70 years are also seen as part of those 1,000 years.
The other interesting thing he says, so obviously this is ideological, and this comes from a deep ideological belief from him. You can agree with it, disagree with it, and this will be put to test just in a couple of months from now when the first round of voting takes place for the 2024 elections. So ideologies are tested on the electoral battleground. That is a debating field, and that settles a debate. In any case, everybody doesn't agree with an ideology. There is always a contestation, and he's now drawn a line in terms of what that contestation would be. Now, the next interesting thing that I picked up from his speech, he says, "ये इतिहास की गांठें खोल रहे हैं," which is, again, I'm translating this as disentangling the knots of history. And he says many countries have tried to disentangle the knots of history. इतिहास की गांठें खोलने की कोशिश की है, but not many countries have been able to do it successfully or peacefully. And he says the fact that we in India have been able to disentangle this one knot, एक गांठ को हम खोल सके हैं अभी, that shows our maturity, and that also shows our large-heartedness. So paripakvata, that is maturity, that's the expression he's used. And then on the basis of that, he says that I believe, I'm confident because of this, that our future is better than our past. So what is this question, or what is this point of disentangling knots of the past?
Saying this has been pending for 500 years.
500 years since Babur, and also for almost 150 years since the legal challenge was made over the land claims, over who did the land belong to. That is the property case that was settled by the Supreme Court ultimately. That has also been there for more than 150 years. So he takes it back to 500 years to Babur's era.
And then he is also emphasizing that it has been done legally. So this construction happened because the Supreme Court did it. And it has been done legally, thanks to Supreme Court. And then he says it has been done legally. So he is basically trying to impress upon everybody, like it may be maybe the Sangh Parivar's ideological project, but everything has been as part of the legal process. Nothing has been thrust upon any other community.
Yeah, and then he says we are a people with compassion.
Yeah.
Compassion, and we have to learn to keep our desires in check. Is that an appeal against triumphalism? Is that a caution on triumphalism, or are we reading too much in it?
On the face of it, it looks like an appeal. Not very direct, but yes, when he's talking about the way it has been done very peacefully, legally, and keeping desire in check also means you don't think about further, as Mohan Bhagwat said once, that you do not look for shivling in every mosque now. Whether we are reading too much here, I don't know.
And Mohan Bhagwat in his speech also said that we should now bury all this chota,
small petty
disputes. I don't know what he's referring to. Is he referring to Mathura and Kashi, or is that a rhetorical statement?
I would say it's rhetorical because Mathura and Kashi, if you talk to VHP people now, they look for that kind of closer people talk about that beyond Mathura and Kashi. They are saying these two have to be addressed first, then we look at other things.
Yeah. So the expression that the Prime Minister used, and I will give you the exact words that he used in Hindi, beyond this, besides saying compassion, keeping our desires in check, he also used the expression Shanti. हमें अब शांति चाहिए, शांति is peace. धैर्य चाहिए, धैर्य is patience. Then आपसी सद्भाव. That is mutual goodwill, isn't it?
Yeah. But if we stretch it a bit, when he's talking about disentangling the knots of history and starting a new civilization,
right?
Next 1,000 years, you look at this. That way, you can read it as, the Ram temple being the closure to all the so-called historical wrongs people have been talking about. Because he's saying it's the beginning of a new era. So probably, if we are not over-reading it, he's making a very nuanced point that's it, everything is over, new era has started, now forget about other wrongs. He's not saying it in as many words, but this...
So is he then saying, छोड़ो कल की बातें, कल की बात पुरानी, नए दौर से लिखेंगे?
Depends how we read it. I mean, I would like to read his speech or read his speech this way.
And then he says that so many people said that if his temple is built, the country will burn. No such thing happened. The temple has been built in a fully constitutional and legal manner, and nothing's burned. And then you might say it's rhetorical. You might say it's a message. He speaks the way he speaks, because then he goes on to say the country did not burn. Why? Because Ram aag nahi hai. Ram is not fire. Ram aag nahi hai. Ram urja hai. Ram is not fire. Ram is energy. And then he says Ram vivad nahi hai. Ram is not controversy. Ram is not an argument. Ram samadhan hai. Ram is a solution. Ram is not a problem. Ram is a solution. And then he says Ram hamare nahi hai. Ram is not just ours. Ram sabke hai. Ram belongs to everybody. And then he says Ram sirf vartaman nahi hai. Ram is not just in the present. Ram anant kal hai. Ram is eternal. That is where political sort of seamlessly goes into this spiritual.
Yeah.
Now, Constitution. He referred to the fact that Constitution has Lord Ram on the first page. Do you see his speech today? Read with all the other speeches, also seen with other speeches, particularly Mohan Bhagwat's, also Yogi Adityanath's, and also what happened at the temple today. Do you see then that he is trying to see, or at least that is what he is doing, repositioning or redefining India as a nation state within the same constitution? By saying that there is no contradiction between the constitution that his government inherited and Lord Ram.
So when he talks about Ram's picture on the first page of the Constitution, what he is saying is that the law that you have through our Constitution is actually something coming from Lord Ram. He is basically suggesting that, the Constitution embodies the spirit of Ram. And that's why he's basically talking about the Ram's picture on the first page. And Sangh Parivar had been talking about it. They have never debunked. There has been a lot of controversy over this, with some BJP leader here and there talking about how to change the constitution. Every time it has been done, the government has debunked all this. And they have been talking about not just Ram, like other pictures also in the original constitution. So they may have issues with the inclusion of, say, secularism, socialist in the constitution, but the hint is that the government is not going to tamper with it much, even if they have reservations.
Yeah, so important thing is that once you have popular support, and once you have a mandate, and once you have the willingness to do it, and also, frankly, the skill to do it, then you can change the nature of the nation state, or how the nation state is defined within the same constitution.
Yeah.
You don't need a new constitution. You don't need to proclaim a new republic through parliament. You can just change the nature of the republic, so it becomes a new republic.
Hey, anyway, they have come up with the new IPC, new CRPC, new Evidence Act, and they have all been renamed.
So that's a big change, and that's the reason it is not just the consecration of a temple, but it also marks change has been taking place in Indian politics and polity for the past 9.5 years. The consecration of the temple only puts the final stamp of finality on it, finality of the process. As I said earlier, the contestation in the field of ideas, politics, votes, arguments, debates, that will go on. If anything, that will only become sharper now. So DK, how will the opposition respond to this, particularly the Congress party?
Well, if I can promote my politically correct next episode, which I have just shot, they have mentioned the opposition reaction is what Ronan said would call headless chicken.
Running around like headless chickens.
Running around like headless chickens. They're just looking so confused. First, they denounce it, calling it a political project, and then they rush to temples. Today, you have your Aam Aadmi Party basically organizing Sundarkand recitals, holding Shobha Yatras. Then Rahul Gandhi again, in Assam, you see, he's trying to go to the shrine of a Vaishnavite saint, Shankardeva. Of course, he makes a spectacle of it because he's not allowed entry before 3 o'clock. So he sits there, and you have Raghupati Raja Ram, everybody singing like this. Leaders like Arvind Kejriwal saying, I'll go to Ayodhya after this consecration ceremony. I'll go with my family. You have even Sharad Pawar, who never actually took oath in the name of God, when he is saying that he would be visiting the temple later. Except the left leaders, the DMK leaders who are very clear, and what we saw Mamata Banerjee today. Mamata Banerjee went to a temple, a mosque, a gurdwara, a church, basically to say, this is my faith.
So she has not said that she's not disowned religion, but she's basically said that because I'm a public figure,
Yeah.
I pray according to all faith.
She even attacked the CPIM, saying that the left government was there for so long, it did not build any temple, any religious structure, not even a burial ground. And I'm going everywhere. So Mamata Banerjee, at least she is very clear what she is, the message she wants to send out.
That she is not against anybody's God.
Yeah. But others in all other opposition parties, they are looking very confused.
Yeah, and Naveen Patnaik has done something. He's also...
This Jagannath corridor, I mean, he celebrated in a big way. He was there the other day.
At the same time. But he's not really a leader of the opposition. He's not in the BJP, but he's not part of NDA, but he's not really a leader of the opposition.
Look at the Congress. So the High Command, you have Sonia Gandhi, Mallikarjun Kharge refusing to go there and then allowing other leaders to go. So you had all Uttar Pradesh leaders of the Congress going to Ayodhya, taking a dip in Saryu River. Even today you had Nimal Khatri, the former UPCC chief. He was a former Firozabad MP. He was there.
He's a senior Congress leader from Uttar Pradesh.
From Uttar Pradesh.
In Uttar Pradesh's context, he's quite significant.
Yeah, you have Virbhadra Singh's son, Vikramaditya, going there.
Who's a minister in Himachal.
Himachal Pradesh government declared a public holiday today. Various contradictory signals you read from the Congress. I don't know how the people would be looking at it, how convinced they would be about their allegiance to Lord Ram, if at all. If they're sending their leaders to take a dip and show that, okay, we are devotees, but then it's a political project. That message is not coming out very clearly, because otherwise you should not be rushing to temples. I mean, you take your stand the way Mamata Banerjee did.
So, DK, you've looked at who came and who did not. Just give us some takeaways, some insights. What do we understand from those who came?
I would just start with celebrities. There were so many people from Bollywood, from Ranveer Kapoor to Alia Bhatt, Kangana Ranaut, Amitabh Bachchan, Abhishek Bachchan. The way the Prime Minister has tried to kind of appeal to the public imagination through these cultural ambassadors. Many celebrities, but I was more interested in looking at the people who came from the south. So you had Rajinikanth here. From Andhra, you had Chiranjeevi and his son Ramcharan. You had Pawan Kalyan, but Pawan Kalyan, of course, he is more of a politician today, so I'll be talking about it later. But the way he is, the other day he was in Kerala, in Guruvayur temple, he went for Prime Minister, he went to Suresh Gopi's daughter's wedding. Even there you saw Mammootty and other actors, and all over the BJP flashed those pictures. So the way he's using cultural icons to appeal to the imagination of the people and to convey his other messages.
Right.
That's very interesting. And as for others who came there from the BJP side, well, there were two Muslim leaders of the party who are otherwise sidelined. So you have Shahnawaz Hussain, Mukhtar Abbas Naqvi. Shahnawaz Hussain was sent to Bihar as a minister, and after that he is nowhere. Mukhtar Abbas Naqvi, he was made to resign, he is nowhere. But today they were shown there as, prominent personality of the BJP being present in Ayodhya. That was a cultural thing among politicians. From the BJP, we saw Shahnawaz Hussain, Mukhtar Abbas Naqvi, who were otherwise sidelined, but they were invited to the Ayodhya event. You had Nitin Gadkari coming there. Of course, LK Advani could not make it because of the cold weather. And of course, the Prime Minister, the RSS chief. Interesting, among politicians, when you look at it, the interesting thing I found was the presence of Chandrababu Naidu and Pawan Kalyan.
Yes, because they are in an alliance in Andhra Pradesh.
They want to be
with the BJP.
Yeah, they want to be in an alliance. BJP has been.
No, I'm saying they are in alliance together.
In Andhra Pradesh, and BJP has been trying to be neutral, like not siding with either Jagan Mohan Reddy or TDP, or rather, I should say, not siding, trying to side with either side.
Right.
And keeping everybody guessing about its next move. So Naidu, and again, if you look at it, there was a time when Naidu was trying to, appeal to the minority communities in Andhra Pradesh, because they are all with Jagan Mohan Reddy. But by coming here, they appear to have made up their mind that, okay, those sections of voters are not coming with them, so let's go with the BJP. And it's a big outreach to the BJP also, both coming here.
And the big absence is all of the Congress party, but besides that, would you count anybody?
No, from the opposition side, nobody. In fact, as I said, Vikramaditya and Nimal Khatri from the Congress, nobody else from the opposition side. In fact, EPS also, they had invited the AIDMK chief, General Secretary EPS, E. Palaniswamy, but he said that he is not against this idea. He welcomes the construction of a temple, but he is not in a position to travel. But he also stayed away.
Yeah, but one thing I think we can foresee or predict, and tell me if you can safely do it or not, that over the next days and weeks, you will now see a procession of politicians from all parties going to the temple.
Yes,
and
of course.
They will then say, we are coming as devotees because we welcome the Supreme Court judgment. We only did not come for the BJP, for the opening, which was the BJP's and RSS's political project.
The problem with that, for the opposition leaders, also the dilemma is if you come to Ayodhya, you also in a way endorse the demolition of the Babri Mosque. That they won't like to be doing, in fact, at this juncture. So that's a big problem. At least for the Congress, it's a big dilemma. Others, again, I was talking about my politically correct episode. I'm replugging it. There
you must watch it and read it.
So
he has the best political wisdom for anybody in India.
So there I'm quoting from a survey of on religion in India by Pew Research Center. You had done that episode long back when it happened.
Clutter, yes.
On Clutter. There, one pointer is, 64% of Hindus believe that being Hindu is very important to being truly Indian. So that tells you about the religiosity of the people here. The opposition parties have to be mindful of that. And of course, they might have boycotted today's function, but they would be rushing to the temple next. They would not really like to offend those people who believe that being Hindu is that important.
And the survey also tells us, told us that Hindus and Muslims, they are quite happy with each other, but each side wants to be self-contained. They don't want too much intermixing. At the same time, they are happy to let the other side be.
Absolutely.
Right.
Yeah.
So, but DK, the other important thing in that survey, Pew survey, and that's very important today, and that's a good note to conclude this with, that also shows that for all democracies in the world, India has, how many people in India report atheism in the column religion? It's less than 2%. So for all democracies in the world, the number of atheists in India is the lowest. So this is really a God-fearing country. Religion is a very important part of our lives, irrespective of what our faith is or which God we pray to.